here we are. Jason, your face is directly behind your nameplate on the stream. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Delve Requisite here on Proficiency Bonus. This week we are joined, as always, by our party of Fools Errant. This week with special guest star Little Jason in the Big City. His premium background. And his magical chair that keeps appearing and disappearing. Before we get into the stream proper tonight, let's pay some bills. Let's take a quick moment and thank some sponsors. Sponsoring us here at Proficiency Bonus, as always, Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle. You type exclamation point Little Dragon in the chat at any point during tonight's stream and get to that website. They are a purveyor of fine tabletop dice of many shades and colors and designs. There they are, Little Dragon Corp. You can get a discount on your order at Little Dragon Corp if you type our code PROBONUS at checkout for that 10% discount. So go ahead, and if you're in the need for some new dice, go ahead and check them out. Christmas is coming up. It's not Halloween yet, but it's never too early to start Christmas. That's what I've learned.
Shut up. I don't need to hear that.
Yeah, get those dice ordered now. You don't want to wait.
Yeah, you don't want to wait, can you?
I ordered some dice live on the stream last week.
There you go. Well, anyway, check out Little Dragon Corp if you need some new dice. And our other sponsor, of course, is Cardboard Castle Games, a brick and mortar tabletop RPG. And what even is the official? I keep calling it like a tabletop RPG store, but like it's not like, because they sell like cards and, which I guess is tabletop games.
Gaming store.
Gaming store.
Yeah, I mean, I'd call it the Forgotten Little Gaming Store, but they're not forgotten because, you know, we hype them up every single, pretty much every single session that Probo does.
A place for all your gaming needs.
A wonderful, magical land. You can buy Magic the Gathering cards and probably Japanese Kit Kats or something. Who knows?
Someday we might actually, you know, do a session live there.
Michael's close
Someday.
enough. He could. Anyway, we're getting off track. Thank you to them for sponsoring the show. Check them out by typing exclamation point CCG to the chat at any point during tonight's stream and getting a link to their website. They have a robust online store so you can order things. Have them sent to you if you are not local to their Evans, Georgia location. So, let us jump directly into things tonight. We left off several weeks ago with the Fool's Errant in the Volandan city of Volrenon. You guys have had quite an adventure here. You came here originally on a task for the Ordinum Libri, which you completed. You have undertaken a number of personal endeavors while here. The latest of which was to interrogate and eliminate a known Brotherhood of Artanis operative that functions out of this city. You guys are currently back, for the time being, safely within the walls of the Twilight Royale, the sort of music hall show house operated by Reynard and Isengrim, the sort of odd duo of individuals that Bram knows from his past. Bram, you used the Mask of 1,000 Faces to draw information from Blake Locke's trapped psyche after using the item on his corpse. And you have gained some pretty thorough insight, if maybe not specifics, on the structure of the Brotherhood of Artanis and their leadership, and even some of the things that they are planning. For now, you guys are kind of laying low, recovering, resting. I think the plan we had discussed before we started stream, you guys are going to spend the night. You know, you can safely spend the night here without fear of interruption. And then it is time to get quickly and quietly out of the city of Volrenheim. As prior to this, it largely seemed, or at least from Blakelock's information, it largely seemed that the Brotherhood considered you a problem that, you know, should be dealt with in due course. But it is very likely at this point that now you are you have learned enough that it seems that they are up to some very bad stuff, and you have interposed yourself in their business enough times now that you get the impression that you have made yourself a target worth actively trying to deal with. So it is in your best interest to get out of this city as quickly as possible. You received, as had been sort of prophesized by Tori and Idrian, you received a communication from Lady Tabitha Delker, the daughter of the, you believe to be assassinated member of the Mithlindian Parliament, Cartwright Delker. The message was pleasant enough and seemed to be spoken in sort of plain, friendly tones, and inviting you to come and pay her a visit in Niveria. And the group of you immediately, I think it was Bram that like, at the end of the message said, like, so that was definitely a coded message that we need to get there right now, right? And you guys all sort of agreed on that. And Walter remembered that you guys are currently in possession of an item that you were given by the Wizards of the Collective of the Arcane Eye, a teleportation scroll that could be used in an emergency to bring you back to their arcane sanctum on the 3rd floor of 28 Dorset. So we left off last week. You guys had, you know, plans to rest, you know, to wrap up any affairs that you might need to wrap up, either in the Twilight Royale here or in the city. And then I think you guys were planning to head via your teleportation scroll to Niveria. So I will, I guess I'll leave it to you guys. Do you want to resume, like, right where we left off? Night of the Caper, post Bram, getting this information from the Mask of a Thousand Faces? Or do you want to, like, have turned in and pick up in the morning?
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Aelar has one thing that he'd want to do in the intervening evening.
Okay, then we'll pick up there. So we'll say, Bram, you have just conveyed the information that you got from the Mask of a Thousand Faces. You guys all just collectively listened to that messenger sparrow and have sort of made your plan for the morning. And what are you guys doing? What are you doing?
Aelar is breaking out some parchment and quill. He's writing 2 quick letters. One is to Raximus Thorn,
Okay.
his old mentor and contact in the Mithlindian city of Vale.
Yep.
It's a coded message, basically giving him a heads up. Stuff's about to get crazy in the border and beyond. Be on your guard, and shooting him, say, 10 of the ill-gotten royals that I got when I pilfered that guy's place.
Okay.
The second is to Aelar's mother, also a semi-coded message. Actually, I'm going to have to write 3 letters now I think of it. Basically telling her, get out and go to, oh god, what was that city up in the north of Mithlinde? With Copper Kettle's
with definitely not Starbucks.
Copper
Yes,
Kettle's
with the-
Copper Kettle's friend, Bolus Trolleyweather, is in the southern portion of Mythlanday, on the shore of Lake Turnier, in a town called Lagona.
Okay, basically, go there. And the third letter is to Trolleyweather, basically begging the redemption of the favor he extended to us, and to be on the lookout for a woman by the name who goes by the name of Della Cabot. The assumed name that Aelar's mother, Nella Cabot, used.
Okay. Easy enough to send off 3 messenger sparrows with those messages.
Bram will have used the sparrow whistle to help Aelar.
Sure. Use your whistle to summon a messenger.
All but a couple of the royales he sends along to his mother, basically to pay her passage. So he's got like 4 left. So he doles out each of one to each of each of you.
Okay. Cool. So Aelar kind of like spends a half hour or so writing composing each of these messages, dictating them to messenger sparrows summoned up by the sparrow whistle, and sending them winging on their way with little purses of coin attached to them. They flutter off into the night on their journey to their destined recipients. Bram, Walter, and Oz. Anything else you guys want to do this evening?
Gold.
Yes, we did see that you found gold again. From where? I didn't see that. I called
so
bullshit.
Aelar gave us a gold each.
Ignian Royale.
An Ignian Royal. So technically, it's 5 gold, I believe, is the conversion rate.
So I will add 5 gold to the pile. I now have 7 gold.
I have 50. I have 51.
Well, when you give yourself 5 gold every week, I guess that makes sense.
I'm gonna have somebody pickpocket Ozrius every time he gives himself gold.
This would give me 500.
At some point, Aelar's probably just gonna go, I desperately need gold. Yoink.
Yeah, that's fine.
How was it? You guys have I have 545 gold.
Because transcribing anything into my book for rituals costs 50 gold per spell level.
That's true. I am also coasting off that gambling.
Yeah.
Also, I did not get
a year and a half ago.
Also, this is not our character arc right now, so.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Walter would probably like listen to Bram's explanation and like not hearing that like Moxham's involved in any meaningful way, like, or isn't name dropped. He's just not gonna bother.
Okay.
Like asking too many questions.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go along with it. I have nothing to really question.
We're just gonna prepare to like leave first thing in the morning / super late at night.
Yeah. Once the letters are composed and Aelar gives himself a moment to fret about his family and old mentor, he's gonna realize can't do anything about it. Got to go help Delker. Rest. Get ready for the morning.
Also, it should probably be said that if anything ever happens to me, one of you should probably make sure that the Brotherhood cannot get to my body.
Fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I can take care of that.
I don't mean just stick me in a hole somewhere. I mean like burn it or something.
I can separate the important parts from the unimportant parts and burn the rest. It's fine.
I didn't say violate my corpse. I said make sure they can't get their hands on it. Walter.
Tomato. It's all
Walter.
salad.
I look at Aelar and I go, all right, you're in charge of that. All right.
Yeah, I promise your body will not be found, or if found, will not be in condition for them to be able to learn anything from you.
I want a Jedi funeral pyre or nothing.
How's a Jedi?
Look, you can go 30 feet down.
It was a guy I used to know. He had a really fucked up eye, so we called him. His name was Jed, so we called him Jed Eye.
There you go.
He was Jed with the eye.
Okay.
died tragically, and he was also a large man. We had to have a huge funeral pyre for him. So it was Jedi's funeral.
That must have been
pyre.
a lot of wood.
I'm not even gonna touch that one.
So you guys, head to bed. How are you planning to make your egress in the morning? Are you guys pre-dawn, gathering in one of your rooms and using this portal and just slipping out? Are you saying goodbyes to Reynard and Isengrim? What's your egress strategy? And I guess do you have anything else you want to do in the city, before you go?
If Bram seems that he's not going to say goodbye, Aelar is going to pull him aside and go, say goodbye to your friends.
Here's, I guess, a technical question. Can horses be teleported with the scroll?
As it turns out,
that's right.
horses are objects. I'm pretty sure.
Fucking better be.
We've got
You have
3 horses.
Three. We've got Henrietta, Dr. Strongfast, and Hoover?
Horsey McHooverton.
They have to be willing creatures. If I speak with animals and tell them to be willing,
let's do a quick. I mean, bottom line, I'm not getting caught up in rules lawyering over these goddamn horses to mess with the story progression. So we're gonna let them teleport.
Yeah, 8 willing creatures. I assume if you're riding the horse, they're probably willing.
Horses are creatures, but I will not. I'm not gonna deny you of a scene where you talk to these horses. So let's.
I was gonna say I at least need to talk to Dr. Strongfast because he would. The
three of them are in the.
We've never talked to Henrietta.
You have
also,
never talked to
corpses are objects in case it's relevant, and objects just need to fit inside a 10-foot cube.
Oh, good. I'm glad that Walter chimed in with that information. I like to think that you guys were reviewing the teleportation scroll, and in character, Walter just said that. Everyone was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. No, I think we're reviewing that, and he says that we all just do the.
Hey, you got to get the boys back home to be buried on their home turf. That's all I got to say.
Here's the second question that I have.
Okay.
Don't say.
Because I cast Speak with Animals out of the Bandor. Can I cast Speak with Animals on somebody else?
You can cast Speak with Animals. Let's see.
Because I made everybody invisible, but I don't know if Speak with Animals does that.
It depends on if Speak with Animals is a self spell.
It says you.
Self,
yeah.
Yes. So you not because of a restriction of the Bandor, it's a restriction of the specific spell. Invisibility you can cast on up to whatever many creatures. Speak with Animals is a self spell.
Just really wanted Oz to talk to his horse.
It happens. Can you tell me how they feel?
Can't he do that already?
No.
Not.
I mean, not.
I thought you could. Oh, it's commune with
Speak with
nature.
Animals
Never mind.
does.
Yeah. I mean, can I actually? I don't think I can. No, I cannot.
All right. Well, let's say you guys are awaking. You're awaking at dawn. You're in your individual rooms. Proceed.
See. That's the first thing on Aelar's mind as he opens the door to his room.
Well, you're lucky because Isengrim is notorious for his coffee.
But is it as good as the wizards made it? Well, more specifically,
This is as good as the water.
is it as good as the
We're still in
coffee
Milan.
made it?
They got the water.
Do you have the water?
As a tea drinker, I don't really know. But I would
I'll
think
take tea.
rule of thumb, we got the water here, so it's probably better.
Fair, but
That's
I am
called
not.
hinge.
I am not telling Sheffield.
Stanfield.
Stanfield. Yeah, I am
Sheffield
not
now.
telling Stanfield that someone makes better coffee than him. That's not done.
I'll do it.
Of course you'll do it.
Get a messenger sparrow.
I don't care.
Tell
I'll hurt
him
old man's
immediately.
feelings.
How dare you?
not about hurting feelings. It's just about knowing what's better than the rest.
So you guys are like heading downstairs and looking for folks. Okay, so you head downstairs, and what you see is you guys travel like down the stairs here and into the sort of the main hall of the Twilight Royale. It's not open to the like public at this time of day, right? Like they open their doors probably around like lunchtime, and then things don't really kick off until evening. So there's not like patrons around in here. There are 4 individuals downstairs when you come down. Reynard and Icewind, of course. The like, it's like I'm trying to go. There is a woman who you guys have seen before. Now that you're like kind of seeing her in the like sort of daylight coming in through like the front windows of the Twilight Royale, you actually see for the first time like there is a extremely faint sort of like green gray cast to her skin. And like she's like a broad young woman, but where like Bram's skin is quite green, as a half orc. You actually like you get the impression for the first time seeing her in like the light of day that like she maybe has a little bit of like orcish in her ancestry, but she's down there with the 2 of them, as well as the that woman. When you guys like came back last night, there was or I guess for you guys it was like several weeks ago. But when you guys came back, there was that like, I want to say I'm looking for the notes on it because now even I've forgotten. I think she was a half elf.
I believe she was as well.
Woman that like that it looked like they had like returned from a, like a trip recently with. The 4 of them are like congregated downstairs. Reynard is sitting at the table talking to that half-elven woman. The woman who works at the you guys have been in here enough times. It may not have like come up in the game, but like you should like at this point you should have learned her name, right? Her name is that her name is Enwyn. Enwyn is like standing sort of like like they're seated at the table and she's kind of like standing like arms folded kind of between the 2 of them. And Icewind is over by the bar, fiddling with something that is like chrome plated and has like a decanter on it and a bunch of weird looking like tubes and stuff. And there's like a little burner under one part of it, and he's like fiddling with this contraption over by the over at the bar.
Do I recognize these 2 people?
Which 2
like
people?
Aside from like the 2 new people, aside from like having seen them.
So Reynard and Icewind are Reynard and Icewind, right? Enwyn is sort of like she that like she is another person that they helped out of the Empire sometime after you like they had brought you out. And she has sort of taken the role of like she runs the Twilight Royale when they like go off on their their like journeys. So she's like kind of in a similar position to you, though, where like you kind of took your own path and eventually went on your own way. Like she has stayed here, she has like kind of stayed with them and has like come into this position where like she is now essentially the like she's like the manager, right, of the she's the floor manager of the Twilight Royale, and keeps things running when the 2 of them like go off. And then this new person, she looks like they brought her in here within like the last couple of days.
All right,
she has that like sort of shell shocked look on her face, like they just got her out of the Empire like not long ago, probably.
Well, I guess at least Bram will approach.
Okay, you're approaching Reynard and his little gaggle, or you're approaching where Isengrim is messing with the chemistry set or whatever it is over there.
I guess right now.
Okay.
Aelar is going to head over to Isengrim because he's going to lean over. Oh, I saw those in the Empire.
You head over to Isengrim. He is in fact using it to make coffee.
Yeah.
The liquid that is coming out of the spout end of this contraption is like jet black. And is kind of like slowly filling up, and he's just like watching it carefully every once in a while to like adjust something. He kind of looks up at you and he says, "It will be ready in a minute."
No rush, no rush. You don't mess with something like this unless you want it to either burn or. Oh, there was that one time I saw one explode. No, actually, I caused the explosion. Help me escape.
Bram, you head over to Reynard, and you hear, like, as you walk up, you hear Reynard saying to this young woman, he says, "It has been pointed out to us recently that we've been doing this a long time. And for many years we have been operating as if simply helping those who needed to get out of the territory of the Empire was good enough deed of its own. But we realize that thrusting you into a strange world, here in Veland, here in the city of Waldheim, is not always the best thing. So, you have some decision to make. And understand, you are no longer in the Empire. The things that you are running from there, they cannot touch you here. Your choices are your own. If you wish to leave this place, to live your life, to travel elsewhere, we will give you enough coin to get you on your feet and send you on your way. If you wish to stay here, there will be a bed for you. We will do what we can to help you build your new life here." And Anwin is sort of like nodding. She says, they're good to their word. Says you've been through a lot, but if they say they'll help you, they will. Reynard seems kind of like notices you walking up. Bram turns his head. "This is Abraham. Good morning."
Good morning.
He gestures to the half-elven woman. He says, "This is Miss Fenlin." He says, she had a philosophical disagreement with the Imperials, or a ideological difference, shall we say. It is not my business to discuss. But she is our guest at the Toilette Royale until such a time as she feels that she is ready to make other arrangements for herself. And the half-elven woman, Fenlin, as she was introduced to you, kind of looks at you a little uncertain and sort of nods.
Well, tell you one thing. Certainly much better here than in the Empire.
She's kind of nods feverishly. And she says, They would have executed me if I had been left there. She kind of like nods towards Reynard. She says, Monsieur Sir Reynard and Icewind, they saved me from the hangman's noose. And she kind of like shakes her head. All because I did not worship that blasted false god.
Ah, yeah, that asshole. Aelar yells over from. Yeah, that's probably one of the things that they want to hang me over to.
She kind of smiles a little bit, and Reynard kind of like grins. And he says, all of this is behind us now, yes? You are here? The gesture is kind of vaguely around. The home of unmitigated religious freedom, as they say. You shall have no quarrels here to pay homage to any deities that you see fit. And he sort of turns towards you, Bram, and he says, so you have had quite the adventures. The star in the city was a little bit of something to behold after you arrived last night.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was here all last night.
He grins. He says, "Of course."
So was everybody else.
He says, as silly of
Actually,
me.
it's probably better if we weren't here last night. Or at all.
He says, I don't even know who any of you are, so that is fine with me.
So much the better.
Bram will turn to the new initiate and say, "You play an instrument?"
She says, not so much. I sing sometime, but I am no talent.
Bram will then go into his bag and take out his original, like, very basic violin.
Okay.
And hand it over as you go. Learning to play this will probably help a lot, specifically around here.
She sort of takes it. She says, you are simply giving this to me?
Yeah. I don't need it anymore. He, like, slings the bandor around that. And
comes out and it's like, ooh!
Yeah. And then also goes, and then he goes, and also this one. And I pull the masterwork violin out as well. Like, my talents have far surpassed that. So.
She says, this is, kind of looks between you and Reynard and Isengrim over there, like, working with his little device. She says, this is, I hardly know what to do or what to say to all of this kindness. It is too much.
You ever in a position? Do some kind for someone else.
You don't have to do or say anything. The thought of Reynard and Icewind having to listen to somebody learn to play the violin is payment enough for me. And I like slap Reynard in the back.
He laughs jovially enough, and from over Isengrim is like pouring a cup of this like coffee that he's made, and he slides it over to Aelar as he says, what is his voice? He says, if we are lucky, she will be more adept student than you proved to be in the beginning. Yes, save us many day of bleeding ears.
Aelar, take a sip.
You try playing a violin with big fat orc fingers.
You could have taken up any instrument you wanted. You are the one who picks violin.
That is very good, thank you.
It's actually not. It's awful. You drink it, and it's like...
Oh, okay.
It's good in the sense, it depends on your definition of good. If your definition of good is that it has so much goddamn caffeine content that it will like wire your eyelids to the top of your skull for like several hours after you drink it, it's very good. If it's good in the sense that it tastes good, it's not good.
Yeah.
Walter's
Yeah,
gonna watch Aelar wince.
I'm gonna
Aelar sips it and he's like, "Ugh," he like immediately
Well,
his molecules begin to
I
vibrate.
turn to Aelar and I go, I told you he was known for it. I
wanna
didn't tell
drink
you
the whole
what
thing.
specifically he was it was known for.
Walter's taking a cup of coffee and one sip, and it reminds him of home.
He goes, perhaps I should have reminded you. I can't remember. I can't lock in on his voice tonight. He says, yes, I have forgotten to remind you. I prefer my coffee to be strong.
Strong enough to wake the dead. Sounds great.
Okay.
Why do you think
Gonna need it.
Why do you think I started drinking tea at a very young age?
As Ozrius like comes over to like take the pot, he like you like go and reach out and he like his hand like shoots out and he like it's much smaller than yours obviously, but he kind of takes you like this and like pauses your hand for a moment. And you're like
Got 5 gold.
a little you found another 5 gold.
Also, Aelar found 10 gold before.
Oh my god.
Oh, thank you.
He like
Yeah.
kind of like takes your
About
hand
83.
Yeah.
and like I don't think this becomes like a strength like right you guys aren't like fighting each other over this, but like
No.
he puts his hand on you and like for like his size compared to yours, you like don't understand. He like stops your hand dead with like a grip that is like as if like a machine had like grabbed you. And he takes the decanter out and like pours himself a cup and then lets go of your hand and hands the rest of the thing to you, and he goes I will not have you drink all before I get any, but the rest you may have.
Okay, that's fine.
Forgot to mention Icewind is a Terminator.
I can
We
see
found
it.
one of your kind out in the ruins.
It did, yeah. I mean, I will say it seemed like
Mechanical.
unnatural, not mechanical, but like compared to his like
Unnaturally
size
strong.
and brain and like build, like unnaturally strong. Yeah,
This dude is like One Punch Man.
yeah, kind of.
Small little body.
So-
Yeah, I'm gonna down the whole thing though. Being
Okay,
like, "Thank you, that's fine." Thanks.
Okay, I think we'll call an audible here. I think everybody is going to, for the next 24 hours, gain advantage on initiative rolls.
Oh.
Thank you.
As I had no intention of this, the coffee thing wasn't even like planned until spawned from Bram's comment that he's famous for his coffee.
It is now.
We can't
That's what I like to call planting the seed.
Yeah, we can't go to the poop your pants well every time, so sometimes it does have to be good. So you guys drink this coffee, and Bram, you drink your tea, but maybe I don't know, he does something to that too. Like everybody gets advantage on their initiative rolls for the next 24 hours
Nice.
of in-game time.
It's because of the water.
It's the water, yeah, it is the water.
It's the water and not the meth that he mixed in with it. Yeah, definitely.
If that means if I already have advantage on my initiative rolls, does that mean I just get three rolls? Then? Do I just get 3 rolls?
Icewind is like, the secret to the coffee is the methamphetamines.
It's the meth. It's the meth.
He
All
says,
that mountain coffee.
he says, you see this is called EpiPen. It is filled with liquid adrenaline. I break 3 of them into coffee pot before I make.
This is called epinephrine. It's gonna blow your heart out.
Fantasy EpiPen costs 1 gold to make, sell for 7,000 gold. Malong is real fuck.
You charlatan.
Oh, I see the Moxum symbol on it right there.
Capitalism has not done for a long kind. Okay, so you guys get your coffee. You sort of do all that. A little more conversation takes place between Reynard and Fenlin, and eventually he passes some coins to That's too many NPCs.
Matt just got a Dungeon
Entwin?
Master inspiration.
Oh, did I? Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
The last thing I see is cheese palette. Oh, cleanse the palette.
It was just about that.
Okay, cool.
Somebody is making it rain in chat.
Nice. Thank you for making it rain in chat, Veers. He passes Enwin some coins and sends her and Fenlin out into like the city to go take Fenlin shopping for like basic like thing. You know, she has the clothes on her back, right? So like he gives Enwin money to like what's that? And a violin. He gives her money to for Fenlin to like show her around the city a little bit, get her a second set of clothes, some like basic things that anybody should need. And so the two of them depart, leaving you guys alone with Reynard and Isengrim. Isengrim is like going about cleaning and disassembling this contraption that he used to make the coffee. And he looks at you and he says, "So, seeing that you were not here last night or any other night before, where is it that you plan to go next?"
Probably best that you don't know.
And considers this is fair enough. Will you be staying any longer, or are you preparing to depart?
We're on our way out. Also, we're gonna need that box of jewels that we left with you.
He like gestures towards the back. He says, "It is in the back beneath." Says the case of Mithlindi in the port. There is a false bottom in it. It contains the jewels.
Thank you.
As Bram walks away, he's like, "Explain to me about the false bottom under the thing. Like I don't know about it. It's 12."
So you guys are able to recall those, no problem. And as you guys are kind of like making your preparations,
Aelar will take a moment, shake each of their hands. Thank you very, very much for your hospitality.
They nod and they they like shake your
importantly,
hands.
for what you've been doing.
They both kind of they both grin, and Reynard says, "It is not nearly enough. We have been at this for what seems like many lifetimes over." It is
That gal right there, she doesn't think that. You just changed her life.
He smiles. It is what keeps us going, even as we watch the world grow darker and darker around us. I am happy for those we can give an opportunity of a better life. And he looks at the four of you and he says, I wish you well on your journey, and something in my gut tells me that we will be our paths will cross soon enough again. He says, Reynard and I are going to be leaving Velant again very soon. He says,
if you're going to the border, be careful. There's what we've been hearing is true. Things are about to get very hot, very fast.
Isengrim comes over and he says, this time our path leads us in a different direction. But we can smell the change on the wind, the same as you. Things of a history-altering nature are coming. And I think that these are interesting times in which we live. he just kind of like nods to you guys all, and he says, "May the path that lies before you be clear, and may fortune favor you. Fate can be cruel, but for those whom she favors, fantastic things can be accomplished." And Reynard says, "Alright, now, the four of you, be off, before I get sentimental and weepy." Bram, he gives you like a big hug. He like grabs the side of your face, he plants a big smooch right on you, and he says, "It has been too long. I'm glad that you came back to see us, if only briefly." He says, "We will see you again soon, I am sure of this. Good luck and stay safe."
Well, guess we got to get rolling.
Guess we gotta go. Good
The
night.
two of them like go to start like making their own preparations for whatever their travel is. You guys can head out of the Twilight Royale, like to the stables where Dr. Strongfast, the Honorand and Akalteki, the Henrietta, the
Basic horse.
Mithlindian horse, and Hoover, the Volandan. Do we establish that he's like a jumbo, like he's like Clydesdale sized? We established that
Sure,
Hoover's
yeah.
like huge.
He's like proportionally large.
He's like proportionally fits Ozrius, right? Like yeah.
Yeah.
And Hoover. So the three of them are like stabled there. You guys go and like make ready these horses, and you guys have your teleportation scroll.
Look at that normal sized man on that normal sized horse. Oh no.
Normalcy.
Yeah, I'll start getting Henrietta ready. I guess we're leaving our cart behind, but I think the cart was relatively empty anyway at this point.
Yeah, besides,
There's-
they might be able to make use of it. We're benefactors.
It's also a cart that's been through a lot.
Yeah, it's
It's
been
not like the
much
nicest cart. It's been pretty it's been flipped
We're-
at least once.
We're leaving a graffitied, burned out car like on the side of Philly is basically what happened.
No problem. You guys can like saddle up and load up on the three horses. Okay.
Here goes nothing.
I'm gonna pat myself down and say, who has the teleportation scroll? Ah, Aelar.
I get you.
That was Aelar.
I'm saying.
What, what, you think they trust it with anybody else?
No, probably not.
All right. He'll pat Henrietta. Here goes nothing.
Alrighty. So, you guys assemble the animals. You gather all together. You open the scroll. There's like a how-to instruction at the top that like tells you what to do. So you take some time and you like scratch a circle in the dirt like around you guys, and it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be, but it's it's like a closed circle. And you activate the scroll, and you sort of like unravel it. You set it down on the ground as it springs to life, and the magic within being released. The rune that is like this like circular pattern of runes that's in the center of this scroll glows bright blue, and then a like matching impression of those runes appears in the makeshift circle that you drew on the ground around you, and the scroll like immolates itself at your feet, just burns up, and then the whole circle glows brightly for a few moments. There is this sort of like wash of pale whitish bluish light that extends right upward from the from the borders of this scroll, or this circle, and with a kind of unceremonious, just kind of like, you guys go boop, boop, one place to another, and the 4 of you and 3 horses are standing on the floor of the 3rd floor of 28 Dorset in the city of Nibiria.
Walter will immediately facepalm and say, one of the practical jokes we used to do with kids when we were kids was bring cows and horses up to the 3rd floor of a building because they can't get back down.
So fine.
The room, the floor, where what used to be the crowded arcane laboratory of the Collective the Arcane Eye is now like empty. There's some stuff kind of like packed this into some corners that just looks like the storage of like stuff that would be in somebody's attic. That inlaid metal circle on the floor is still in here in the floor. You guys are standing inside of it. But you are just in this mostly empty space with these three horses.
All right. Well,
Who look a little confused, like, looking around.
so how the hell are we gonna get them down?
Magic.
You don't think you Magic got us into this mess, it'll get us out of it.
Exactly.
You don't think they installed an elevator, do you?
I don't think elevators even exist in this world.
They have the chain and
They have like they have like lifts, yes. But no, they don't have them like in somebody's house. I don't think, especially not like horse-sized ones.
Oh no. I guess I'll try to lead Henrietta down and let everybody else deal with their own horses.
Okay, you start to lead Henrietta. Make an animal handling check.
Oh, this is gonna be horrible.
This is a level 8, Walter. That's a solid 12.
Okay, you get Henrietta over to the steps, and you kind of start to like lead her down a little bit, very slowly. She kind of like gets down one of the steps a little unsteadily, but then kind of like and like takes like kind of like back steps up, and like doesn't seem to want to go down. And you hear like commotion from below as like Henrietta clomps around a bunch. You hear like movement and like then like rapid footfalls like coming up the stairs on the 1st floor to the 2nd floor and like heading down the hallway towards this set of stairs.
I'm gonna cast disguise self as one of the horse handlers we saw down in what's it called?
Up in Valheim?
Yeah, no, the other one. South.
Era Libra?
South.
Why don't you just
On our end.
Why don't you just
Oh, the dudes that like gave you
Yup.
Dr. Strongfast?
Yup.
Okay.
Look, there's
Aelar's
3
just
horses
gonna
on the 3rd floor of their house.
Yeah, Aelar's just gonna
Get up
wince and
there,
go, ah, great, someone bought the house.
Where are we at here? I'm trying to find the name of the tribe specifically that is
Now, Aelar's gonna cast Disguise Self and change his appearance to...
That's a Sindom. A Sindom Brave would be the...
a nondescript human man wearing middle-class Lindian clothes.
Okay, so you guys, like, this happens. I think you do this, seeing Walter do it, but, like, Walter's kind of at the top of the steps, right?
Well, I
was
hear
that?
the...
I guess nothing.
I heard some female person talking somewhere
Yeah.
in somebody's background, but it's not mine, so.
I don't know. Anyway, so Walter does this. You like sort of do this reactionarily as well, and then like a woman comes around at the bottom of the staircase, and like looks up and stops, and she goes, Horace? There's a man with a horse on the steps to the attic. What are you guys doing?
So let's just say in his best, probably gonna get him in PR trouble.
Oh no.
Accent. He's gonna be holding her reins saying, "This not desert? Where am I?"
It's funny because he disguised himself as like one of these Sindom dudes. He doesn't even have the Akalteke. Like he just has Henrietta. Like,
Yeah.
like not the appropriate horse for the disguise he's done.
I hope she doesn't notice. So we'll find
I don't
out.
think she knows at all. I think let me make a roll for her. She's gonna try and like see through your illusion. She rolls a 1. It doesn't matter. She's so confused by the horse. And she like
It's a 14.
She takes several steps back, and the aforementioned Horace kind of comes up. He's wearing like slacks and like kind of an undershirt. He hasn't like, it seems like he's like, they're, you know, it's morning, right? They're like probably just like, eating breakfast. And he comes, he goes, bloody hell! He says, well, what? Why are you in my attic and why do you have a horse?
Was traveling desert. Things happen. Now in attic. And he'll just kind of shrug.
So you guys hear Walter doing racist voice at some people down the stairs. What are you guys doing up here?
You got any good tricks? Something that might, you know, get them to forget what they're about to see, or put them to sleep, or.
I'm gonna point my finger at
hide
Bram
myself.
and say and cast message at Bram and say, "Can you dimension door the horse out of here?"
It's 3 horses. Like,
Take the big one.
I'm about to jump out a window if I can.
There's no windows up. There's no windows up there.
does dimension? Can I dimension door?
It says one willing creature. I'm pretty sure.
You could take one of the horses if you wanted to.
But I have to go.
You would have to go. Yes. Yes.
Can I just start riding one of my horses down the stairs?
Oh
Yes,
my
I say
God.
that's less fun.
You can try. You're gonna have to make the same animal handling check that Walter did.
I'm gonna show up with a Goliath on top of it. Try it.
Why would I have to make an animal handling? It's my horse. Horsey McHorseton is my horse.
It's your horse.
It's also
Your
Cooper,
horse
not Horsey
has
McHorseton.
never encountered stairs before in his goddamn life.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
Oh yeah, hang on.
Sure
let me make a
comes with
roll.
steps.
Let me make a roll to see if your horse knows how to operate stairs. Oh, look at that, he doesn't. I rolled. It came up. It came up. Your horse doesn't know how to use goddamn stairs.
Okay, fine. I'll roll for it. Fine, I don't care.
Make an animal handling check.
15.
15. I think with a 15, you're getting on the horse.
Yes.
Okay, you get on the horse and you sort of spur him forward, and he kind of confusedly like moves forward, and you manage to navigate him around Walter and like Henrietta, who are like at the top of the stairs, and you hear these cries, they're like, "Oh!" The man's like, "Oh, there's 2 horses in here!"
I'm gonna disguise self as I'm gonna disguise self as Walter, but with a full beard,
Okay.
and I'm gonna come around the corner and go, "Well, I don't mean to alarm you, but there's a 3rd horse up here."
Who are you? What the hell is going on?
Just get out of the way. Just get out of the way. I'm a Goliath on the horse. Just there's no questions to ask
We're
right now.
on
Just get
we're
out.
on special. What city did we just get? Is this now?
You came from Fulheim.
No, what is it? Is this Midland Day? Where are we now?
This is Midland. You're in Naviria now.
There's a Naviria
Yeah, we're on official Navirian secret business.
business.
And you need to let these horses pass through your house and not question it.
No
Top
question.
secret. Hush, hush.
The woman
For the
turns.
good and safety of the king. There's a king. There's a king.
There's a king.
Yes.
There's a
For
king.
the good and safety of the king, you need to shut your pie hole and let these horses through.
The woman she's like doing this, and she like turns to presumably her husband Horace, and she goes, I bet this has to do with them blasted sorcerers that lived in this house beforehand. I told you we shouldn't buy here.
Absolutely.
Horses appearing in the attic.
I can't confirm or deny that, but I can confirm that.
And
they were-
Get the bloody hell.
Horace-
Turns out they were plotting to kill the king. So we're searching them. We're searching for them, finding the trail. We
what?
must have tripped one of their traps that sent them back to their hideout because we're here now.
I make shoes. My name is Horace. This is me house.
Hi, Horace.
I make shoes.
Nice to make shoes.
I'm not emotionally or
Yeah.
mentally or honestly financially equipped to deal with. How many horses has he seen at this point?
Two.
Two, but
definitely.
he's been told there's a third.
Oh, I am not equipped to deal with a bunch of strange men and horses in my attic when I'm having breakfast. Are you able to get the horses out of my house?
That's what we're trying.
Oh, Horace,
So
here's
just-
what I'm
just get it out
going
of
to
the
tell
way.
you. We're gonna attempt to get the horses out. For the good of the king, I'm gonna need you to stand back, and also I wear a size 14. I'm gonna need some shoes.
Also, some breakfast. Some breakfast while we're at it.
In the name of the king, I need to commandeer some shoes.
And some breakfast.
Um,
And some breakfast.
That's not a
Say it.
t-shirt.
Say it.
That's not a
say it.
t-shirt. And also muffins.
Here's
Yeah, thank you,
here's
thank
how
you.
we're gonna resolve this. That this doesn't take the next 43 minutes.
thank
I
you.
would like we're gonna make 4 rolls because I'm gonna have each of you make a roll.
My God.
I'm gonna get real
You
bad.
guys can decide who's gonna make what rolls. I'm gonna need one of you to make an animal handling roll. I'm
not
gonna need one of you to make a deception roll.
Probably that one should be me.
I'm gonna need one of you to make a persuasion roll,
I can do that one.
and I am gonna need one of you to make.
Acrobatics, athletics.
Performance.
Yeah, an athletics roll. We'll make an athletics
Okay,
roll the last.
Then that's fucking me.
All right, I'll do the animal handling. I've got minor bonus.
Bram, you want deception or persuasion?
I'm gonna do deception.
Okay,
I'm
That's what I'm
much
talking
much
about.
better at deception.
so
Persuasion is 23.
18
animal
plus,
handling is 15.
18 plus 7.
That's 25.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
23 was persuasion.
23 is persuasion.
Okay.
Athletics was 25 somehow.
This man is about to say 33 or something like that.
I roll. I rolled a nat 20, making it a 30.
All right. Okay, here's
Didn't see that one coming, did you, DM?
I'm gonna use my bardic inspiration from chat too, and that's gonna add 6 more. It's a 36.
why. Okay. All right.
Just
Okay.
DM didn't see 3 horses coming down a flight of stairs, did he?
Come on, lad.
I
That's it.
actually I need to add my proficiency bonus. I'm
I
sorry.
can't
Can
believe
that's
I
a
rolled
plus-
a 20 and then rolled a 6.
We're gonna make that a
26.
27.
27.
Persuasion, so it's
Okay.
it's not as memey as a
So
30
here's
natural.
here's how this goes. The worst of your rolls was in fact the animal handling, which arguably the most important. However,
To you.
well, to the safety of your horses and your human forms who are in danger of being kicked to death by your own horses. No, so here's how we're gonna resolve this. It takes about 2 hours.
We're gonna need to commandeer lunch as well, then.
Horace,
Oh, good God.
Horace and Sandra. You learn her name is Sandra. Horace and Sandra own this house. They bought this house after the the wizards sold it. Horace has a very well respected shoemaker's shop in the like the upper district. I'm not gonna.
Not for long. The horses left the present upstairs.
Well-
I think that's the castle ward.
Let me pull up New Year. No, it'd be the upper ward.
Okay.
The castle ward itself is like the ring around the castle. But the upper ward is where like the nobility and stuff like that, right? So he has a very like well-to-do like cobbler's. She makes shoes for like the nobility, right? So they're like fairly well-to-do. Horace and Sandra. They have 2 kids, who like cannot believe the luck that they are having. That their morning has been spent watching 4 dudes try and get 3 horses out of the attic of their parents. Like, it's the greatest thing their kids have ever seen. Like, they love it. It takes a while, and not an insignificant amount of damage is caused to like the second 2 floors of the of 28 Dorset as these horses kind of like bang into walls and fuss. It probably would have been worse, and there is a good chance that like one of your horses would have been injured in the process, if not for Ozrius's athletics roll. So in some of the like the fussing coming down the stairs, one of the horses like spooks a little bit and like kind of stumbles and like is about to bolt, and Ozrius just like fully just like gets its weight lifted. You probably can't lift an entire horse, right? But like you're probably able to like lever enough of its weight off so that it can't like kick and run. So Ozrius's athletics roll like averts some total disaster from the process. And as far as Bram and Walter's checks go, like these people are fully convinced that you are some sort of like Mythlindian secret service on a mission to like save the fucking king. Like you have spun them a yarn that is like they have bought so thoroughly that like even though you like just led 3 horses entirely through like their house where they live, they like give you breakfast. The Horace like tells you where his cobbler's shop is, and like tells you he'll like give you, you know, like he'll make a pair of shoes for you if you come there. And like as you guys leave, I think their door is like partially hanging off the hinges because one of the horses like bucked it on the way out. But you guys like leave, and like they nod you off with very like serious faces, like very stern, like as like, yes, here go the men that are going to save the king. Like, Godspeed, gentlemen. I think like Horace salutes.
I was gonna say Walter's gonna salute them.
They like salute back. Like,
Aelar's
long
just
live
gonna
the king.
hop on Henrietta and just be like, I cannot believe that worked. You're muted.
Are you muted?
It's a good thing they didn't ask what the bloody king's name is, because I don't know.
All right. Well, now
You
that
are-
we're out,
You are free of 28 Dorset.
now we have to figure out how where Delker is.
Well, she told you
told
that
us.
she is with King Oldo. Like she's
How did we
with
get in
the king.
palace?
Crap.
I'm going to take I think I can take a detour from here to go like tip off Moxum.
I mean,
to figure out.
it's a bit. Moxum is in the ambassador's ward.
Teleport ourselves in there with our horses.
It's the only way to travel. You
It's
just
the only
teleport
way to
yourself
do
to
it.
somebody's house.
So, yeah. So the Moxum enclave is in the ambassador's ward. 28 Dorset is in the River Ward. River Ward.
Okay.
I have River Ward here, which is here, I believe. It's not gonna look like anything to you guys. So like where you guys are is the outermost ring of the city on like the top right. There's like that big park in the middle of it.
Yeah.
The ambassador's ward where Moxum enclave is the
This-
interior ring on the right side.
Right. Yeah. That
All
sounds
right. So
So we kind of have to loop around. It's a little bit out of the way, but it's like we can loop around, or I can loop around that way.
I
and,
mean,
like,
you guys
meet
have
up with
time to
everybody
like
at the entrance.
head that way. You know, like right. You guys have to come up with a how you want to try and get access to Tabitha Delker.
So I would like to go to the Moxum Enclave and see if I can get any information about what's going on in the Empire through the trade network, if possible.
Bram,
Everybody else can figure out the getting to Tabitha thing.
you've got this Pharaoh whistle, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can send her a message that we're here. Maybe she can give us a hand at meeting somewhere.
Probably worth a shot.
Yeah, you can do that.
I mean, it's either that or I transfigure Scooter into a bird and send him with a message to the palace and hope that he doesn't get shot.
Walter's gonna, upon hearing that, Walter's gonna snap and Morgan's gonna show up.
I mean, you want to risk Morgan getting shot?
I'm gonna look at her. She's gonna look at me, and like we're just gonna both like look at Aelar and be like, she's been through worse.
So noted.
She's seen Walter naked.
Oh no.
I did not need that thought in my head. Thanks.
So I'll see if I can send her to because she's met Tabitha before.
Are you capable of sending a message via Morgan?
I can not like a spoken one, but like I can send a written one.
Yeah, if you want to do that, you can do that. That's the plan. You send Morgan as opposed to a messenger sparrow.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because I can tell if she stops existing.
Sure. All right. What are you putting in your written note that you're like attaching to Morgan's leg?
Do we want to set a meeting place ourselves, or do we want her to set one?
Probably her to set one because it's probably gonna.
Does she knows us as the Fool's Errant? Did we
I think she
declare
does.
the name?
Yeah,
she
knows all of your real names and stuff. Yeah, you guys are pretty tight with her generally.
Okay. Do you want to send like a Joker playing card attached, like with like where we met as a meeting place in case it gets intercepted? You think she would figure that out?
Where did you meet her, Bram?
We met her at her house.
Yes. Yeah. So you first saw her at her house at her party. You first met her when she hunted Bram down after her father got assassinated in like an alleyway near 28.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Was that one? But
all right, Aelar will sift through his
held against
pockets and pouches, find a deck of playing cards, pull out the Fool or Joker card.
Okay.
Here you go. Alleyway meeting question mark.
Just where we met, I guess. But sure, that works too.
I guess Bram might take over the letter writing, but Bram is gonna attempt to write a letter that like a coded a message that like to like on the outside seems like it's like a note from like a lover or like a boyfriend being like, no, meet where we first met. That like basically it's gonna he's gonna just like disguise as a love note so that nobody thinks anything of it.
All right, so you write that, you guys attach this card to it, and you send Morgan on your way, on her way, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so she wings off and heads. Probably you guys have been like moving as you've been doing this. So she heads like south towards the castle. As you guys continue to make your way counterclockwise around the interior ring, heading for the Ambassador's Ward, so you can go to the Moxum Enclave. And Walter, you go to the Moxum Enclave, and I don't think we need to like necessarily role play out this scenario. Like,
no, it's fine.
They don't have any information for you now, right? But like you tell them like what you want to know, and they're like, okay, we'll send out messengers, and when we get information, like someone will contact you, and like
And
they
the
don't
trade
they don't
being
need
that,
you.
like-
Yeah, like they don't need you to come back. Like they can send a message to you wherever you are when they need to.
I'll tell them what we learned about from the rich guy about like maybe the Empire being very
Sure.
dangerous soon.
Okay.
So at least feed them some information so that it can be
Sure.
like whatever information they find has like context.
Yeah, so you kind of like we send that tidbit winging upon its way, and that will come back around to you at some point once they've like gotten some information, right? So you know that the Moxum like communication network has been like, you know, your request for information has been sent down the line, and when they have something for you, they'll like report back. And I think shortly after that, we see like Morgan comes winging back, and your note and your card has been taken. Morgan does not have like a return message of any sort with her, but like hot on Morgan's heels, a messenger sparrow comes. And it says, in Tabitha Delker's voice to the group of you, it says, so happy to receive your message that you are here in town. Unfortunately, my obligations require that I stay on the palace grounds for the time being. But I shall send word of your arrival to the gates, that you might call upon me here and be appropriately directed, so that we may have a visit together.
I guess we're all gonna look at Bram and just try and see if like he thinks that's too suspicious or.
You know, Aelar is also, you know, pondering trap.
I don't
But
know. At the very least, we can confirm that she can't leave.
All right, well,
I mean,
let's play it straight. Let's
If it-
assume that
yeah.
she's still in good enough with the king, and there's still enough loyal people that they aren't going to murder us outright.
also, if it is a trap, I guess we'll just have to wing it.
Kind of.
All right,
Alright.
regicide.
Hey,
2.0.
let's hope that we don't even have to contemplate that. That's something more your former employers might be planning.
Okay, are you guys heading straight like towards the castle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alrighty, so you guys head back kind of like northwards again. You kind of head clockwise this time. You backtrack a little bit. You head into the it's the craftsman's ward. You head into the like this the northern ward of the innermost the inner ring here, where the gate up into the upper ward is. You guys have previously, like, you will remember, it's been a while, but like you'll remember that to get into the upper ward, like you need permission to get up there, right? You guys already have like the little like insignia token thing, the like parliamentary insignia thing that you got from Delker originally, that like you can flash to the guards that they let you up into the upper ward. So you're able to do that. You're able to bypass that and get up into the upper ward. And then as you head around, either dealer's choice if you guys want to go to the like the western gate. There's two gates that lead into like where the palace is on the west and the east of like the Mithlindian palace. You guys can go to whichever gate you feel, depending on which way you start walking when you enter here. But you guys head to the gate of your choice for in-game knowledge, they're both called Roland's Gate. All of the gates in the city have names, which you guys have probably learned, like most of them at this point. These ones are called are Roland's Gate West and Roland's Gate East. You guys head to one of these gates, where they're like the portcullis is like kept closed at all times on these, and only opened when like people need to come in or out. So as you guys approach on your 3 horses, you kind of stroll up. A pair of guards are standing in front of the like the gatehouse to this gate. As you approach, the halberds go like down across, right? And one of them says, "State your business."
We're here to see Tabitha Delcar. We should be expecting.
He looks kind of dubious, like looking at this sort of like the state of the 4 of you, right? Like you guys are in your adventuring gear, right? And like you have like this mismatched set of horses, and you know, you don't necessarily look like the usual callers to the castle. So this guy like gives you a skeptical look, but with all of the like rigor of a, you know, a meticulously trained like palace guard, he calls over his shoulder to somebody inside the actual gatehouse, and he says, "Callers for Lady Delka." And there is there's a call from inside a moment later that says, can you have them clarify their names, please? I do have a set of guests here listed for a Lady Delka."
Aelar, Cabot, Bram Repluck, Ozrius, Walter Gray.
He says, the voice from inside says, "Alright, a messenger was just sent down not a few minutes ago that the Lady Delka was expecting guests by those names. I've been instructed to..." And then he's like, you hear him like pause, and he says, "Oh, this is... ask them to wait there. I've, whew." He says, "I've forgotten the name of the person that I have to get." He
Stephen, no.
says, "Yeah," he says, "I've got to get Stephen."
Well, we're out of here.
No.
Tabitha's on her own.
He says, "The instructions here are to summon Sir Luther." And the guard at the gate, you see, like, arches an eyebrow and then looks at you with this renewed, like, "Who the fuck are you people?" And you hear, like, footsteps rapidly, like, disappear on the, like, the far side of the wall, like, heading back towards the castle.
Sir Luthor. Is that name vaguely familiar to anybody?
I think...
History?
So, like, Walter's from Valand, right?
Yeah.
Bram is from Valand, but has traveled a little more. Ozrius is from Honorand, and you're from the Ignean Empire, but have traveled a little. So, like, Aelar and Bram maybe could make a history check to see if you, like, recognize Sir Luther.
I don't know shit.
I rolled
No,
a
Walter and
9.
Ozrius, like, don't even... I'm not even going to let you make the roll.
Yeah.
19.
A 19. Bram, with a 19, I think you probably... Like, even with a 19, right? Like, you're not really... Like, 2 minutes ago, you told me you didn't know what the fucking king's name was, right? So, like, I don't think Bram is super invested in, like, the nobility politicking of any of the kingdoms, right? But I think, like, with the 19 at least, Bram, I think you know that Sir Luther is like a knight of pretty high renown within Naviria. Yeah. But like he's like, you're talking the level, like, he's he's a you know, if like King Arthur had like the Knights of the Round Table, right, and you had like your Lancelots and your Percivals and your, you know, whatever else, like he's that level, right? Like he is a knight of the Mithlindian royal like court, of enough like fame and regard that you at least recognize the name. And these two like guards at the doors just kind of like look at you guys speculatively as they sort of wait. And about 10 minutes pass, and you hear those like rapidly approaching footsteps come again. And that same voice that you heard before, kind of out of breath. This time he says, "All right, we're going to open the gate. Let them through. Sir Luther is just behind me." And the two like nod and step aside in like a well-practiced, like smooth motion, and then the gate comes up. You hear like the clinking of chains from within the battlements of like around this piece of the wall, and the gate comes up enough to like allow you guys passage through to the interior.
We go. Aelar is making a point to keep his hands away from anything that looks like a weapon.
Okay. You're all proceeding through the portcullis into the interior of the gates. Okay. You guys proceed inward, and you see striding across the well-manicured lawn that leads up to like the exterior gate of the castle is a man in absolutely like brilliantly maintained like silver trimmed with blue armor. He carries a helmet under one arm. He has a long sword like at his hip. He has a long, flowing blue cape over his shoulders, clasped with these pair of like roaring lion emblazoned clasps that hold his cape on at either collarbone. That's like flowing out behind him. He's probably like Bram's height. He's like 6'2", 6'3". Clearly like dedicated his life to like the martial like the martial practices. He is broad in the chest, and looks like he knows his way around a sword. He is a human. His hair is kind of like a sandy brown, but is like streaked with gray. You gauge he's probably in his like maybe late 40s. He has a clean, like a neat, clean, well-maintained beard. I kind of imagine him like he's a little like, he looks a little bit like maybe Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. Kind of looks, he's a little like that, except like maybe a little like beefier. And he kind of strides up to you, followed by like several you see like several who look like stable hands come like jogging up behind him, and they move over and they like make motions as if to like take your horses and like, you know, like lead them to stable for you guys. And the man that strides across, he like shifts his helmet from like under one arm to the other. He looks at the four of you and he says, "Well met, my friends. I am Sir." He says, "Hello there." He says, "I am Sir Tyrus Luther. I am told that you are here on behest of the Lady Delka."
Aelar will give a slight bow.
He nods and he says, "If you would please," he says, "the stable hands will see that your animals are well cared for while you are guests within the castle walls. Come with me if you would."
Right. Fall in and step behind him.
Good.
Cool. So the stable hands take Henrietta and Dr. Strongfast and Hoover and lead them off towards, you see there's like a set of stables across the way a little bit ways away. You guys fall into step behind Sir Tyrus Luther. And he kind of walks and he turns back and he says, You are the group that calls themselves the Fool's Errand, was it?
Yes, that's correct.
He kind of smiles a little and he says, better than the names most of these adventuring or relic hunting groups come up with for themselves.
We prefer accurate.
We're no knights errant.
Yeah.
He says, well, come with me if you would. There is little enough time. It is a good thing that you responded to the Lady Delka's summons as quickly as you did.
Fortune favored us. Hopefully it continues to do so.
He nods. You kind of see that he does look a little like grim around the jaw. But he leads you guys like into the past the exterior wall of the inner palace grounds, and you start walking down these long covered pathways that wind around the exterior of the castle, and eventually he brings you around, and you skirt kind of what looks like a large sprawling walking garden. Instead of turning into or through it, you kind of skirt the edge of it and then go into the castle proper. And after a minute or two of confusing twists and turns through this series of corridors inside Castle Mithlinde, he leads you to a door and he opens it up and gestures and says, right through here, gentlemen, if you would.
All right. In we go.
In we go.
Okay. You walk in and you find yourselves in a room that is richly adorned with tapestries lining the walls and merrily crackling braziers of torch illumination that light the space. Even though it is kind of it's still sort of the tail end of summer at this point, so it's pretty warm outside, and these fires going in here, the ambient temperature in here is fairly comfortable. You suspect it is possible that maybe there is some magic worked into the interior of the castle here that regulates the temperature, and there is a lush carpet laid out across the floor, upon which a long oak table has been placed, around which there are several a bunch of chairs. It kind of strikes you as it's almost like a conference room or a council room where people would have a meeting, you know. The only other occupant of the room as you guys enter is in fact Tabitha Delker, who is seated at a chair at one end of the table as you guys come in. And as you guys enter, she kind of stands up and quickly moves over to greet you all. She comes to each of you and gives you guys gives you guys a hug, and just sort of does a discarding with some of the the formalities of nobility, right? She gives you a hug and gives you sort of plants a kiss on the cheek instead of the typical curtsying and bowing nonsense that that one might do.
I imagine Scooter jumps out of Aelar's coat and just starts circling her a few times.
She gives him a little scritches, and she says, we'll wait until Abraham is back from this dreamlike state that he seems to be standing in the corner of the room for a moment before we continue.
He's currently using the corner of the room you're not supposed to.
Oh no. Don't do that in the castle.
It adds to the ambience. So who's in the room currently? It's just Tabitha and
just us.
It's you guys, Tabitha, and Sir Tyrus Luther. Did he put something in Discord of what he's doing? Should we just press on?
He had to BRB for a second.
Okay, all right, we'll press on without him then. So she says, she says, I'm so glad that you. I hardly expected you to arrive as quickly as you did.
Neither did the current homeowners.
Nope.
What?
Don't worry about it. It's
A horse problem.
if you hear anything about horses on a third floor and official business, just
It's an urban
play
legend.
along.
It's an urban legend.
I do apologize. Can we take a quick break?
Sure. All right. It seems like let's do that. That's a decent place, right? Like we got maybe about an hour left in the stream. Russell's doing something. Adam has to step away. Let's take a quick impromptu break before we get into this conversation between Tabitha Delver and the group. So, don't go anywhere, anybody. We will be right back.
For us.
Except for us. You guys can go somewhere. Bye. 1.
What?
Hey-oh, we're back. What did you say, Kurtis?
Don't worry about it. Find that right.
We were definitely live, so I hope it wasn't too inappropriate.
No, I just said slacks. It's fine.
Okay. Slacks. Welcome back to this episode of Slack Requisite, the show all about slacks.
Yep.
What's your favorite kind? I like pleated.
Pleated. Please.
Let's.
Please.
So we left off a couple of minutes ago before our little break here, with the party having just arrived at Castle Mithwinde in the city of Neveria, the capital of the Kingdom of Neveria, after responding to a sort of a coded request for at least a visit, if not outright help, from Tabitha Dilker. They went up to the castle, and they were led back to a room within the castle, some sort of like a meeting room type of space within the Castle Mithwinde, by who Bram vaguely knows is like some sort of a famous knight by the name of Sir Tyrus Luther, to a room in which they have been brought to Lady Tabitha Delker. She is in the process of like greeting all of you guys. She restarts the background music, which keeps turning itself off. She says, "I had hardly expected that you would be so prompt in answering my summons to pay me a visit."
We were fortunately close.
That is fortuitous for us all. Had you arrived any later, it might very well have been too late for any number of things that seem to be afoot lately. She kind of looks at the four of you, and she... I'm trying to think here. I'm pacing back through timeline here. Does she know that Fidget and Nula are gone from your group? I don't know if she does.
No, because the last thing we did was like get her rescued and then run to the library.
So she looks to you guys, and she kind of like, she says, but some of you aren't here. She says, Lady Nula and your strange rag-clothed friend, Fidget, are they? She says they're not. They haven't been.
We lost them in the library fire.
She kind of like grimaces. She says, "Oh no. That is awful. Truly awful to hear." She says, I did not know the goblin that well, but Lady Nula was always a kind soul." She's kind of quiet for a moment. She says, but I am sure the four of you are burning with questions about the nature of what is going on here, and why it is that I sent you a message as such to summon you back to Neveria.
We're here now.
Anything we can do to help?
She kind of smiles and she says, "There is much to discuss, but as it were, it is perhaps not my place to be the one to lead that discussion." And a door opens at the far side of the room from where you guys entered. And a figure strides into the room. And he is... you gauge him to be late 40s, early 50s. He is dressed in a finely made doublet with a white silk shirt underneath, trousers, and shiny black leather boots. He has like a single shoulder, like half cape, over over his right shoulder that hangs down behind him. He's of medium height and medium build. You can tell that he's, keeps himself physically well, like in shape, though, he has kind of definitely like the slightest paunch to somebody who, maybe doesn't spend a ton of time like undertaking physical activity. His skin is this like deep dark kind of like ebony color. He has a neatly trimmed beard and hair that has been like tied back into this sort of mane of like neatly maintained dreadlocks that hang like parted over his shoulders and hang to about like just the top of his sort of like, or like beneath his collarbone. And around his head he wears a circlet of platinum with a tri-tipped like points at the front, with a blue sapphire set into the middle and largest point of this crown. And this figure dressed in the blue and silver and platinum of Mithlinde, you all recognize from description and just kind of like common knowledge. Roland Aldo, the king of Mithlinde, strides into the room.
Aelar's eyes go wide and immediately bow. Heck, even Scooter, sploots down flat.
As King Aldo walks into the room, Sir Luther also like kneels down. Lady Delker like kind of does a bow. And as he walks in, Aldo says, "The honor of opening this discussion does in fact lie upon my shoulders." So Aelar has like bowed. How do the other three of you react to the entrance of King Aldo? I mean, in all honesty, like, you can kind of tell me what you think. Like, Ozrius maybe legitimately has a claim to like not know who the fuck this guy is.
Yeah.
I imagine, yeah, and also like Walter and Bram aren't from a place where like that kind of deference is like protocol.
I'm not gonna bow because it's just because this guy has no like, this guy might have amount of respect to others, but he has no amount of like, he's nothing to me.
Sure.
Like, he has nothing.
Sure.
He's not gonna be able to tell me anything of being like,
sure,
this is who you are or whatever. Like that, but nothing to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bram and Walter, like, you guys are not necessarily like, you're not from Mithlinde, right? But like, and like, I would make, kind of your decision on how you act here. I would make based on like, even not being from Mithlinde, right? Like, I don't think it's like crazy to assume that like it makes that you guys know like, oh, probably bow to the king, right? Like, so if you choose not to, like, I'm not telling you to do it or to not to do it, like, bow or however you want to react. But like, I would say like, I don't think, outside of Ozrius, I don't think anybody has I don't want you to make a conscious decision based on like, well, maybe my guy doesn't know to bow to the king.
It's not that I don't think Walter knows or not knows. I don't think he would necessarily, but
Yeah,
like
it's fine.
certainly like a half like nod to like acknowledge that this person has come into the room, but not like not anything deferential.
Yeah, Aelar's is a little bit, he was a subject of the Ignean Empire, and you were taught, you bow to your betters. Also,
Sure.
It's like, he's somewhat of a citizen of Mithlinde, so let's show the proper.
I just want to get a gauge of like what he sees when he looks at the four of you, so that like Ozrius is like unaffected. I gauge by this.
Like,
Walter,
okay.
like Walter, you're not bowing, but you're nodding, I suppose, right? Like Aelar, you're bowing as is appropriate. And Bram, like, what's kind of Bram's reaction to the king of Mithlinde?
Bram is not gonna like. Bram will do like.
Sure. Okay.
He's not
Cool.
bowing.
Cool. Okay. So I think he comes in, right? He sees this is you guys react as you react, yeah. He comes in and he kind of looks over the four of you, and his eyes settle on you, Ozrius, right? As you just like look at this guy, right? You don't bow or anything else, right?
Yeah.
And he kind of takes a couple of steps and he moves over towards you, Oz, and he looks up at you, and he kind of like looks you over for a second or two, and he says, Lady Delka has described all of you in great detail to me. You are Ozrius.
Yes.
He says, you are of the plateau folk. I have never had the honor to meet any of your kind before.
Yeah.
But word of your people's strength and honor has reached even here to a king on his throne, many miles away from the wilds of Honorant. I hear tell that the Goliaths are unmatched. And he, like, maybe to those of you familiar enough to, like, courtly etiquette, he, like, puts out a hand to shake Ozrius' hand, which is, like, fucking wild for, like, a king to do to just, like, a guy.
Just a random...
He just, like, he, like, puts out his hand to clasp arms with you, Ozrius.
Okay. I'm gonna take a minute to look over the words and being like, does he look like pretty ornate in his in his wares, like kind of like
his like he is befitted like a king, right? Like, so his clothes are expensive, they're well made. You can tell from them. I'm trying to like kind of put myself in the mindset of Ozrius, right? Like they're well made and they are like ornate, but like sizing him up in a sense of like, are they like ostentatious and cumbersome in a way that like is like functionally preposterous? No. Like, they're ornate and they're well made, but like if this dude needed to like move or fight or whatever, like he has adorned himself in a way simple enough that like it is not restrictive to his motions and things like that.
But it's obvious of an importance. Like,
yes.
It's not like outlandish. Like,
yes. It's not. He's not like wearing like a fucking peacock feather like headdress, right? Like he's dressed. You know, he's dressed like a king, but he's not like over the top. You know, he's not wearing like jewelry of any type that you can see, right? Like he doesn't have like rings on his fingers or anything like that.
I'm gonna look him up and down, but with this handout and being like, you know, it's not often that I see many of that look like you that want to extend such a hand. So, he kind of like pulls out his hand and he's gonna give like the hard like
yes,
the hard like just.
You clasp hands. He like grips your forearm with a, you know, admittedly like weaker than your own, right? And like his hand probably doesn't reach all the way around your forearm, right? Because like you're so much bigger than he is. But he, you know, he grasps you with a firm grasp, and he looks you like right in the eye, and he says, "I am of the firm belief that while a king is venerated among his people, he is a servant to those people." He says, "It is my sacred duty to expend any energy and effort, including my life if necessary, in service to those whom I represent in my kingdom. That, I think, is a sentiment that both our peoples can agree upon."
I look behind me being like, I like this guy. I like this guy. That's not bad.
He
not bad.
like releases grips with you guys, and he says, "Please sit. There is much that I wish to discuss with you. I apologize for the surreptitious way in which you were summoned here. Lady Delka has agreed to aid me in this matter, but it is ultimately at my request that you have been summoned here."
With all due respect, Your Majesty, what can a group of relic hunters. What service can we be to you?
He smiles and he says, "If even half of what Lady Delka has told me about the exploits that the group of you have undertaken thus far are true, I think firstly you sell yourselves rather short, and secondly, all will become clear in time, and you shall see that I frankly find myself in a position in which a group of unaffiliated relic hunters are precisely the thing that I need." And he actually himself, he moves and he goes and he sits down at like the head of this like conference table that is in this room. And Tabitha like nods to you guys, like kind of like giving you like, "Hey, it's cool" sign, like everything's cool. I'm not like, you know, like I'm not like a hostage right now, right? And she goes and sits as well.
Aelar will, warily and carefully sit down.
Take an open seat.
Okay.
And sit down pretty hard.
Sorry, speaking of seats, my my reclining chair has decided to only recline, and I can't figure out how to make it not do that anymore.
Well, Jason sits down in the in the
I sit
reclining
down in
chair.
the kid's chair. Yeah.
I didn't. You didn't say anything. I didn't see if you like nodded or something. Is Brahms like sitting down as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So the four of you sit down with King Aldo and Tabitha Delker, and as you guys sit, he kind of lifts his hands and he gives two quick claps, and another door, not the one that you came through, not the one that he came through, but another door opens, and a little like cadre of servants come like bustling into the room, and they place in the center of this table this large like board. It's basically like a big long like charcuterie board, right? It's got like salted meats and cheeses and like fruit scrapes and things like that on this, as well as a tray that has a number of like crystal glasses, as well as a large decanter that has this like deep red wine. And they go about like they like pour this wine into these glasses and like place it in front of everybody around the table, and then like set this board of like little foods or whatever in the center of the table in reach of everybody. And King Aldo like takes his glass and with an air of like significant formality, he says, "I welcome you to Castle Mithlinde, and I hereby extend to you, through hospitality and the sharing of sustenance and drink, the time-honored tradition of guest right. Through the acceptance of what you see before you, I welcome you to my household as my guests and honored allies, extending to you every luxury, protection, and respect that station calls for." And he takes a small sip of his wine and like sets it back on the table.
Drink my whole thing.
Slams the wine.
I'll probably take a sip as he takes a sip.
Yeah, Aelar will
cheers it.
He kind of nods, and I think probably, again, maybe to Ozrius, but I think like the other three of you at least like recognize that like guest right is a thing, right? We're in a medieval sort of fantasy world, right? This act of like him offering and you guys accepting like food and drink sort of signs this like kind of pact that you guys are his guests. And so that's basically this like very important agreement that like while you are here, like no harm will be done to you, like you are under his protection, and you guys are, you know, mutually respecting each other's like safety to be here and then to part ways. He looks at the group of you for a minute and he says, I am in a situation that, to To my knowledge, no king of my bloodline or the bloodline of the original King Mithlinday that founded this kingdom have faced in nigh on 1200 years. I am in a position in which the very footing upon which I stand, upon which my rule of Mithlinday, the safety and security of all of my subjects, is in question. I would ask 3 favors of you, the Fool's Errant.
Favor.
He nods. He says, 3 things I would ask of you. Should you agree to them, you would have the gratitude of a king, and all of the benefits there within. He kind of like looks to the 4 of you and he says, Lady Tabitha speaks of you with more respect and trust than any other alive. My experience with Miss Delka tells me that I too should extend such trust to the 4 of you. Are you willing to hear the 3 favors I would ask of you?
Oh, that's fair.
Quick looking to the others, and then, by all means, Your Majesty.
He says, the first favor I would ask of you, I wish you to tell me everything and anything you know about the organization known as the Brotherhood of Artanis.
Out of character question. Do we have 2 of the signet rings? Did we steal them both off the guys, or do we only take the one? Bram.
I know we have at least the one. I don't think we took a second one.
You have the one from...
We have the original one from the guy that got his chest
You have the one from the
smashed
guy... Yeah, you have the one from the guy in Audricholm. I don't know if...
I don't think we grabbed Blakelocks.
I don't think you took Blakelocks.
Or did you?
I thought Bram
I thought Aelar grabbed it.
did. I feel like somebody. I think either.
Oh no,
Walter...
Aelar grabbed that.
I grabbed the rapier.
The rapier.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there was time to grab it. So like we didn't grab the second one.
No.
And Walter has Bram has the signet ring at this point,
as well as a couple of the feathers.
Okay. Sorry, it's just in response to the question I was going to say. We've like whether we collected 1 or 2 of the rings from leadership.
Aldo says, I have heard at the very least Lady Delka's version of events, which led to your introduction to her father as part of some sort of scheme concocted by this organization. The series of events which ultimately led, she believes, to her father's assassination. The kidnapping of her person there within, your rescue of her, and ultimately her arrival on my doorstep with this information. As it relates to the dossier of information that you were tasked originally to bring to Minister Delka, and the unfurling of events afterwards, unless your version differs greatly from hers, I am aware of these events already. I am keen to know of anything prior to these events of importance, or anything afterwards which you might be able to tell me about the Brotherhood. They are obviously deeply implanted within my court.
I guess at the very least, Bram will give him the rundown of meeting the first guy in the city and then the second guy in Blonde. He'll tell those two like full stories.
Okay, so you tell him the story of the guy that you met, the kidnapped Delker.
Yeah.
You tell him like everything that you learned from Blakelock's. Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of give him the rundown on. I guess for our audience, you run him down on that from Blakelock's shade. You learned via the Mask of 1,000 Faces that the organization, the Brotherhood, there is an Artanis who leads the Brotherhood, and there are 5 like key like council members basically, and that he named I believe 3 of them, right? He named Pendragon, Lohengrin, and Oberon. That he told you he does not know the other 2's identities or even code names. You learned from him that at least Lohengrin operates via like a secondary layer of like subterfuge, in that she has lieutenants that work for her that are like 1 through whatever, agent 1, agent whatever. You tell him of the fact that Pendragon is doing something that involves I don't want to confuse these going through like
Napoleon Lunar Warriors, I believe, was Pendragon.
Pendragon is doing something that involves the Lunar Warriors. Lohengrin was, I think you learned from him, Lohengrin had something to do with was it the Navy?
One of them was.
No, it was Oberon that was in charge of the Navy. Basically,
Oberon is doing something that has to do with
Right.
the Ignean Navy, and I think Lohengrin, he like didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah,
but
that's the
he
one
did-
that has the numbered agents.
And he did know that like something is going on that like based on your guys' interference, like plans have been accelerated, right? So like that's all the stuff that you learned from him. And you guys were like, is there anything that you're like obscuring from Aldo, or are you just like laying out everything that you have?
Aelar is willing to lay out everything. So
Yeah,
he
why
will
not?
also mention that agent in Valand that appeared that had that unusual lantern, which Aelar will tell the king is currently in the hands of the Ordinum Libri.
Okay.
And
If I recall, I had contacted Moxum about possibly being like the organization possibly having issues as well at some point in the past, and like I believe he had purged. But that
You
might have
have
been
made
unrelated.
him aware of like, hey, look out for these idiots.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
you're
don't-
like, because you haven't shared this even with the party, Walter, right? But like, Moxum told you he wants the lantern.
Yeah, no, I haven't shared.
That's
that
like
part.
you haven't shared that with anybody at this point.
Aelar also mentioned that the Brotherhood of Artanis appears to, not only to have penetrated the Ignean Empire's military forces and probably political forces, but they may appear to have agents at varying levels in just about every kingdom, including some agents in the Ordinum Libri as well, although possibly not high level.
So you guys, it probably takes a while, right, for you guys to lay all this out. Like, he asks a few questions, throughout. Like, Bram, he probably asks you a few questions. I imagine throughout the course of this, unless, like, Bram is unwilling, he probably prods into, like, how Bram came into the organization. So, like, if Bram is willing to, like, share this information, I think maybe this is how, like, the other members of the party learn of the events of our flashback episode of that heist.
Yeah.
Because he kind of wants to know, like, how did you sort of are the point of contact for this. How did they get you initially? And So he asks a few questions, kind of like you can sort of tell he's thinking. Every once in a while, like you catch like he and Sir Tyrus, Sir Luther, like kind of like look to each other, and you can see them sort of like exchanging a glance of like, evidently they know each other very well. It seems almost because they seem to have this like kind of subconscious communication going. But once you get to the end of your, kind of your tale and your information, he's quiet for a while. And he thinks, and he says, there are many pieces of this puzzle still missing. But it seems that this Brotherhood of Artanis are playing a game, the scope of which is larger than any one other individual player even seems to realize. He shakes his head and he says, I wish to be frank. If not for your actions with Miss Delka, and her coming to me and sharing all of this, I would be as blind to the coming danger as it seems the rest of the 5 kingdoms are. I know not what this brotherhood desires, but the scope and scale of which even you have only scratched the surface of, it would seem, suggests that whatever is planned will affect all of Orahul irreparably. For that alone, understand that I owe the Fool's Errant a debt. He kind of nods. He says, the information that you have provided has confirmed some things that I had only speculated at to this point. Through Lady Delka's information, I have learned that there are members of mine own court and the Parliament who are no longer loyal to me and to my interests and to the interests of Naviria. The extent to which these traitors to Mithlinde spread, I do not yet know. But, at the very least, through her actions and now your information, I am armed with more than I ever would have had otherwise. That is the first thing that I have asked of you. Asked, answered. The second thing that I would ask of you. The third is contingent upon it, so I shall pass it for the moment. The third thing that I will ask of you is that after the events that I expect to unfold within the next few days play out, one way or another, I would ask that the 4 of you see Lady Delka safely from my court into the protection of the bookkeepers. And Tabitha is like surprised by this. You see on her face that she didn't like know this was coming, and she like opens her mouth to protest, and with just like a hand raised, Roland Aldo like silences her. And he says, as I have said, Lady Delka's information, her insight and her quick wit, as well as her connection to the group of you, have provided me with an insight and an opportunity that I would not have had otherwise. Her loyalty to the crown and her noble heart should not be rewarded by being forced to face the coming storm here. Mine own queen and my children have been sent from the walls of Naviria south to Austin Vale under the pretense of preparing our summer home, or preparing our winter home for our stay there. I owe Lady Delka at least as much as mine own family. I ask of you a second favor, in that you will see that she safely leaves the city and finds herself within the walls of Terra Libra.
We glance at the others, and then if he doesn't see any objections, we would have been returning to the city regardless. We would be happy to escort her.
Excellent. Then, the final and perhaps most significant favor that I would ask of you. The reason why you four, an unaffiliated group of independent relic hunters, can be trusted with a task that I cannot even ask to my own court. We have discussed the fact that all of this came about by discovering that this Brotherhood of Artanis has infiltrated the Parliament and my court, and is feeding false information to my advisors. With this information, I have carefully, very carefully, lifted stones, peeked around corners, examined the shadowy corners of society, my court, my advisors, my kingdom. I have found that the corruption runs deeper than ever I would have thought imaginable. To have let such a thing spread beneath my watch is a shame that I can only hope my future generations sit upon the throne long enough to expunge from history. Frankly, outside of this room, I do not know who I can trust. He gestures towards the four of you, and he says, Lady Delka's word is enough to convince me that you are trustworthy and can be tasked with this. He gestures towards Sir Tyrus Luther. He says, Sir Tyrus is the greatest of my knights, the leader of my king's guard, and has been my closest friend since we were both boys. He says, outside of this room, shadows gather, and I find myself more uncertain than I have ever been since my father passed and I ascended the throne of Mithlinde. I have done what I can to try to shed light on the shadows. Something is happening soon. Within the next few days, I believe. And yet I do not know what it is. The final thing that I would ask of you is perhaps the most difficult. I would ask that you uncover the plot that I believe may unseat me from my throne, if not stopped.
Certainly hope you have some things to start off with, because that is quite the ask.
Yeah.
He kind of chuckles darkly, and he says, I have at least that much. He says, I have also made preparations. I hope you will not think it too presumptuous of me that I have acted as if your help in this matter was a given. I did not have the time to wait for your answer before I began moving. He says, Tyrus has information that will help you, and I have recalled an individual from the field who, through Lady Delka's descriptions, I have knowledge that you have worked with before, honorably. She too will help you in this matter. We will go over these details, and then I will turn you loose to act on my behalf in secret. And if the gods are willing, all of Mithlinde will be saved from chaos at the end of this. And he says, Tyrus, send word. Fetch Inquisitor Highhaven. Tell her that the Fools Errant are here to help. And I think, so that we don't get into too much exposition, that is where we will call tonight's episode to a close.
Highhaven sounds familiar. I'm trying to.
That was the elf that was in charge at Stone Mill.
Inquisitor Liana Highhaven is, in fact, the elven paladin
Oh boy.
who you guys
boy.
met in Stone Mill at the very beginning of the campaign.
Oh, God.
Oh, that'll go great. Here's this
I mean,
cop
we-
you pissed off.
Well, no. As far as she knows, because she does not know. Like, nobody knows that you guys hid the actual like black wand from her. Like, you guys actually left your relationship with her on a very good note.
Well,
Right.
So you guys, as far as she knows, you guys have a very
Must
good
be.
working relationship with Liana Highhaven. Okay, well, hey, thank you guys for joining me tonight. Thank you at home for watching us do our little D&D thing. Always a treat to have everybody with us. People went a little buck wild with the bits tonight, but I appreciate it. I always do. And of course, thank you as always to our sponsors, Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle. Please be sure to check both of them out if you guys didn't get a chance to do so during tonight's stream. And be sure to tune in right here at Proficiency Bonus pretty much every other day of the week for all of the other like D&D and non-D&D and other content that is put out here on Proficiency Bonus. We always appreciate anybody stopping in to hang out, spend a little bit of time with us playing games and hanging out. Tune in here next week, 7 p.m. usual time on Tuesday, for the Grimm's Folly portion of the Delve Requisite campaign, where we see the crew of our pirate vessel about to make their about to launch into a daring escape from a hostile Ignean Empire city with their rescued companion. And then, of course, jump back here the Tuesday after that for the Fool's Errant, as they delve into a mystery of court intrigue and mystery and treachery that is afoot. To see treachery. So anyway, Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys at home for watching and sticking out with us for this evening. We will see you next time, and we love your faces. And good night. Bye, everybody.